Welcome to the Realtor for Hoopers podcast.
When I pull up with my dogs, we gon' ball like Swish. No, I ball like. No, I ball like.
All right, welcome to episode 14 of the interview series. Can't believe I've already done that many already. So today we have a graduate of Cherokee Trail, right?
Yeah.
Then you went to college. I'm going to try to remember all three spots. I know it was Denver.
Yep.
North Dakota?
Yeah, North Dakota.
And I know Washington State.
Yeah.
And CEO of Be a Good Person, Drick Bernstine.
Yes, sir.
What's up, man?
What's up, man? Appreciate you having me.
Appreciate you making the time, man. We are here at Elite Performance Center, so appreciate them for opening up their spot to us. First question we always ask everyone is, tell us your basketball story.
Basketball story.
And you can start wherever.
Yeah, this could get long, but the short Spark Notes version would be, went to Cherokee Trail. I ended up from Cherokee Trail, I went to DU. Yep. I played there for...
You got recruited to play there?
Yeah. I played there for a season. I ended up transferring from there, going to Ranger Junior College, where I ended up not even playing basketball. I just went to school there.
Okay.
I then came back home for the second semester of that year.
Okay.
Went to Otero Junior College.
Wow. Okay.
Online, and I stayed in Aurora at my parents' house. And then from there, I went to North Dakota.
Got it.
I got recruited the summer when I was at Ranger Junior College to go to North Dakota. So some things happened at Ranger Junior College that made me not want to play.
Gotcha.
We had like a loaded roster that we probably would have won the championship, but ended up not working out. You know, it's part of God's plan. Then went to North Dakota. Loved it there. We ended up the second year going to the tournament. We won the Big Sky. Went to March Madness. I played pretty well in March Madness.
That's awesome, man.
And then Ernie Kent recruited me up to Washington State, where I finished up as a grad student, which was really cool as well.
That's awesome.
So lots of travel and lots of different places to call home through basketball, which is unique.
And did you, like, growing up, like, were you kind of always knowing you're, trying to be a D1 athlete, or, did you always kind of grow up? Because I knew you're, like, I don't remember, your dad played sport. I think he was he played football, right?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
So did you grow up, like, always knowing that you were like going for that, or was it kind of like all of a sudden you're in high school and I'm pretty good at basketball? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I would say I always grew up like that. Like, I always loved sports. My dad always had me around sports. Yeah. He made me play a bunch of sports, and like I've always been like super competitive. So like sports were my outlet for that. It was going into my sophomore year of high school when I cut off like every other sport and really like locked in on the fact that I should play basketball.
Got it.
That was when I actually elevated my game a lot, and that's what made me be able to go on and play in college. But it was just like that focus. I would say I always had the athletic ability, and just like the competitive nature, but because of my dad and my mom's genes. But it was just one of those things where it kind of just transcended my sophomore year. And from there, like my junior year, my senior year, everything just kind of got better.
Yeah. Usually I ask that because I know a couple of sons of professional athletes and whatever, and it's been like, either it's like, I didn't want to have anything to do with sports, but then I got to high school and I just was really good at stuff. And so I ended up playing. Or it's like from the first moment you were born, it was like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely the way it was.
Okay.
Yeah. He prepped me to make sure that was what I was doing. And he, since he played for the Broncos and the Chargers, he kept me around Broncos players and Chargers guys and athletes all the time. So kind of like seeing the lifestyle that they lived and like being around them obviously inspired me to make them some of my role models alongside my dad and my grandfather. And so I thought that was really cool that he kind of implemented me into that like lifestyle early on to kind of understand like and see what life could be. Or obviously he was like, whatever you want to be, I'm gonna support you. But I chose sports.
Love it. Yeah, man. That had to be great. Well, good. Well, second question is, I guess, talk to me about Be a Good Person, how that started, what's your mission, kind of, I'll let you kind of just.
For sure. So Be a Good Person started 8 years ago. There's 5 partners of the company. They brought me on about a year and a half ago to be the CEO. It's funny how I got brought on. I was actually on a long trip with my good buddy Driss.
Yeah.
We were out of the country for like 20 days. We had went to New York, Morocco, Spain, just kind of traveling. I had decided that I was going to step away from my past job, which was working underneath my dad at his company. So I ended up coming back, and then I was offered that position. So I've always like loved the brand. Even when I was in North Dakota, like I always wore a bunch of Be a Good Person merch. But of course, being an athlete, you don't have time to do anything that. Especially back in the day, you didn't have time to do that. Because now you do. But I didn't really have any focus on that. But I was always a supporter of the brand. Luckily, I was pretty tight with a lot of the people in the company.
Cool.
So they gave me that opportunity. So upon being brought on, like the main thing was always just continue to like hold a higher standard for not only ourselves, but like almost like have a moral contract through being a good person. Like that was one thing that made me so interested in the company, is like, it's not in a niche market. The market is like so inclusive to everyone. Yeah. So it's like, Be a Good Person is not, and not to knock any other brand, but it's not necessarily a position or a company that is based around like, I have to convince you to like this brand. This is either like you can support Be a Good Person, or you cannot.
You're either aligned with it or you're not.
Yeah, for sure.
If it's not for you, that's good. But
Yeah. And I think in that it's really unique because like we do fashion, and that's like our main focus. And through fashion, we're able to like enable and also push our message to people, in a cool, organic way, but also doing things with so many like charities and working with unique people and working with unique sports teams and athletes and all the things. Like we have lots of things planned for the future as well, but it's just like being so inclusive that it just makes everybody feel like it's part of a community. And like, I think obviously being a part of the basketball community, you can speak to that. Like, I think it'd be great if we could form a community, like even throughout the world, like, to impact everybody and just have like a support system, have a realtor you can call, have a CEO you can call, have a sports trainer in Eric Garcia you can call, all kinds of different things, but having those people feel like they're close knit to you. So, I mean, the main focus behind Be a Good Person is just like, never worry about being perfect, but understand that you can make mistakes and still grow from those, and also come out on the other end and just continuing to try and be the best you can be to then be a good person. But it's an amazing company. Our website's www.beagoodperson.com. Instagram, you can find us. We're on all the social platforms. So check us out if you don't know anything about us yet.
Definitely. Let's go. What I love about it, and I actually was talking to my wife about who I was interviewing today, and she was looking at Be a Good Person and whatever, and her kind of summation was like, what a simple yet powerful brand. Yeah. Like you don't have, like, people are trying to think sometimes people make things more complicated than they need to be. Mm-hmm. And like, what is simple branding of just like, be a good person.
Right.
Because there's so many people that can align with like, look, when it comes down to it, all I want to be is a good person.
Right.
Like you don't have to like be an astrophysicist or anything like that.
Exactly.
Like let's just be a good person and then see where life takes us. So that's,
and
it's good.
The beauty in that is like anybody can do that. It's not like there's like hey, you have to be 6'8" to do this, or you have to be a certain ethnicity or a certain religion or a certain political background. Like you can do this no matter who you are.
Absolutely.
So that's the beauty in it. I think it applies to everybody. So that's the thing that just continues to keep me motivated to just continue to connect with more and more people throughout Be a Good Person.
For sure, man. Okay. Well, another question I wanted to ask you, because I align and love entrepreneurship and all of its facets, and something that that I like to do is support people that are doing entrepreneurial things. And so I guess the question that I have for you is like, what advice would you give to people that are wanting to get into entrepreneurship or starting their own thing, or just kind of what advice, or if you can kind of go down to one thing,
Yeah. I wouldn't even say it's for entrepreneurs. I would just say it's for everyone. And the main thing is like, be willing to try, be willing to fail. And like, even after you fail, like be willing to get back up and learn from your failures and keep going, because like, I think one thing that's misinterpreted is like you look at people who are super successful and you think, oh yeah, they got lucky. No, they didn't get lucky. Like that was lots of hours and lots of things that you didn't see. And, you know, social media makes it so you only see the glitz and the glam, but you don't see, you know, all the stuff that's going on in the dark hours, you know, when they're by themselves, you know, the things they're going through, you know, with their family, their friends, you know, but you always see the highlights. So I think the most important thing would just be to not be scared to try, because the worst thing you can do is have regrets looking back on life.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's good. It's it's one of those things where it takes you stepping out to sometimes to realize what you're capable of. And if you don't actually like take that step and take that risk, then sometimes you'll look back and go, I wonder if I could have done that, you know? And I think that whether, like to your point, it doesn't have to be an entrepreneurial thing. It could just be like, I'm going to try to get a 6-pack, you know, and you may not think that's really, you know, possible for you, but until you actually try, you don't ever really know.
Exactly.
You know, for sure. So, well, good. All right. So now we're going to trying to be a little bit more vulnerable in your business a little bit. So as a CEO, what has been a decision that you're like, yep, that was good. That was a good decision. And then second part of that same question is, what has been a decision that you're like, man, I need to learn something from that. That wasn't the best one, or, you know, what's one that you regretted maybe is,
we'll see. It's going to be hard for me to tell you a regret because I just said to not regret it.
Well, one thing that didn't work, maybe not regret, but like one thing that didn't work out the way you thought it would.
Yeah.
Because that happens all the time when you're doing
for sure. I would speak to something that didn't necessarily go the way I thought it would. I would just say, like, in the beginning, when you come onto a company, you're almost like, or say you come onto a team and playing sports, you know, you're almost kind of like feeling things out. You know, and in feeling things out, you aren't necessarily your authentic self every day because you're almost playing it like safe, so to speak. But also being respectful of like, hey, these people have already been in this company. These people can teach me things. Obviously, you know, like, in that, there's also things that we may have been doing that we need to change. So I would just say, like, my biggest regret would be like kind of not giving, I guess, myself like to whatever I'm involved in from the first second I touch.
Not that fully investing yourself and your capabilities from the get-go. You were kind of holding back a thumb.
Well, and
is that fair to say?
Yeah, and it wasn't necessarily that I was holding back. It was just like I was trying to feel out, like, okay, where do I necessarily fit in? But again, like, even in being a CEO, you can't really fit in. You got to lead, you know. But at the same time, there's like a fine line between coming in like, this is how we're going to do everything, because a lot of people aren't going to take well to that. But if you kind of ease them into the way that you think things should be done through learning through their past mistakes, learning through their past successes, you know, like that's kind of what I learned, even like going into this year. That was one thing that I really thought about, was like, hey, you just go and be authentic in every single step of the way. Like, people are going to respond to that because people like the authentic you. So just be that in all you do, like, even from the first second, you know. And that's I mean, it's like you walk up to somebody you've never met before. It's hard to just be yourself usually because you're like trying to feel out, hey, do they like me? Hey, do they even want to talk? You know? So I think that would be my biggest regret. And that was kind of a long regret, so to speak. But,
I got you.
Even speaking to like something I did that worked out well. I mean, a lot of things I feel like have worked out well, or I've at least learned from them. One thing that I thought was great was kind of like we've started to run more like niche items, you know, like we ran like a utility bag just randomly, which is like a crossbody bag. And it did super well, you know. But at first, like, we were kind of like, oh, you know, like, is anybody gonna buy it? And then it did really well. And then people were like, hey, can we get some more colors? You know, can we do this, and that?
So stepping out a little bit.
So like stepping out of, I guess, the comfort zone. Which I think everybody gets kind of caught in at moments. And so it's like getting out of that comfort zone. You know, it's like we've been making t-shirts, but like, what other products can we make that also can be thrown into your wardrobe and your style to be able to help you push the message that you believe in firmly, you know, without it just being a t-shirt, you know. Sure. Is it a pair of socks? Is it like these hats we have coming out later on this month? You know, like there's lots of different things that we've kind of just tried to start delving into. Love it. Because it's like, if we're really going to be as inclusive in fashion as we want with a powerful message, like we should attack every single facet of fashion.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think the reason why I asked you that question, thank you for answering that, by the way. Like a big thing I'm always trying to teach my kids and anybody that I talk to is that, like, I think a lot of times you can focus on the failures a little bit. And I want everyone to learn from your misses, to put it in basketball terms. Learn from your misses, learn how you miss that or whatever. But like, man, celebrate your successes too. Like, think about all those wins too. Like, that's going to help you realize that, like, hey, I know what I'm doing. But that maybe I need to see something differently the next time or whatever. Like, and so that's why it's kind of a two-part question, because as an entrepreneur, just like to get your point as a person, like not everything's going to be a win, but not everything's going to be a failure either. For sure. You know, so you got to kind of just take both of those and move forward with all that information.
For sure. And I like what you said, where like, you know, you got to learn from your misses. But again, it's like, even going back to the point I made about failure and like learning from your failures, like if you treat every miss as a failure, like you're not going to be able to even compensate and like take any information away to learn that, hey, I shot that a little too hard, you know, or whatever it is you're telling yourself through your shot. But I think you make a great point in saying that.
Appreciate you.
Of course.
So, all right, man, now we're going to get into a little bit more basketball question. Okay. It's a pretty simple one, but I think you can go a lot of different ways with it. So, top 3 big men of all time.
Okay.
I would consider you a big man. I know in our circles you play as a big, so I don't want to pigeonhole you into only big men, but I figured you'd have an opinion about this.
No, I like that question. That's hard to say. I'm gonna go with LeBron. And a lot of people may not say he's a big man, but like if you can play every position, you got to quantify as a power forward and a center too.
I got you.
Got to go with LeBron,
especially later in his career. He's playing the 4.
You know, and like that's always who I tried to be like. Obviously, it's hard to be like LeBron, but that's what I modeled my game like. So him, I got to go with Jokic for sure. Just the talent level, the skill. Just like the knack to win. Obviously, if you watch the last 2 games, he hasn't necessarily been playing the best. But it's okay. You know, I think that's part of being great. You're gonna fail, but do you learn from the first 2 games? Right. And then third one's got to be. I might even go with Shaq. I just like the dominance he plays with. I just like. Even him as like a TV personality, just a great dude. You know, like I think everything he does, he goes really hard at. Speaking to entrepreneurship, like he is uber entrepreneur. Like he's done many things, created many businesses. You know, just continues to be successful. So
Shaq's on my list too. Shaq's a great model, and so is the guys like Magic of like from the moment they've got into their career, they've started to think about how can we make this money last for the rest of my life and generations to come. Like they thought about it as a business, not just like, hey, I'm going to buy a whole bunch of cars, buy a whole bunch of houses and then retire. It's like, no, how can we, make this money grow?
For sure.
So that's good. On my list is also Jokic. To me, he's the best offensive center I've ever seen. As far as well-rounded, there's been guys that maybe have scored more points and things like that, but how he can control the game and the court mapping that he does and all of that is ridiculous.
Amazing.
I didn't think of LeBron, but I like it. I don't mind that at all. The one I was throwing in there is Kareem, because I think Kareem was like the model of like he can longevity because he played for 20 years, but also that like. That he's our number 1, number 2, and number 3 option.
For sure.
He was the guy. Before that, it was kind of like, we'll throw it down on the post a little bit, and you can score a little bit, and we're also going to have our guards and all that. Like for a long time, it was just like, where's Kareem? Okay, drop it down. Let's do some action over here, and all that. So I think that was like the first model of like he's our guy, and we're going to live and die by Kareem for a little bit. So
no, I mean, I like those three. And Kareem, you can't hate on
you can't
Kareem
go wrong.
ever. Yeah.
And like I said, like I had this conversation with someone else. It's like people think you're hating on someone by not including them. There's just, you got to pick three. There's only three spots.
Yeah, you didn't give me unlimited.
I didn't give you 8 spots. You know. True. So, okay, man. Well, before I ask you the last question, I want to acknowledge you for first just being a competitor on the court while also bringing high character on the court too. So it's not like, I think a lot of people think to be an uber competitor, you can't be a nice guy. Like you can balance those two very easily, like you can bow someone, but also not be like an asshole about it. So I
appreciate that.
I acknowledge you for that. And then also just continuing all the grind, but just the wonderful message and everything of being an entrepreneur and be a good brand. I think it's very needed, and I think that's why people connect to it a lot. Just because if you look at people in themselves of just like they're a good person, and just like that's your first let's say judgment, but your first view of them, that they are a good person, whether you know them or not. That I think that could help us a lot as a society. If you just walk up to someone and say, "I know they're a good person," they may not be. But like, if you just see it through that prism, I think that could help us all a lot, because right now I think there's a lot of like tension with everyone, and I don't know why it has to be.
I agree. I agree. That's the premise behind to be a good person, especially in tough times when there is a lot of people who are more, who feel like they're a little higher on tension, like you said, so almost disarming those people, to everybody.
Yeah. So good job with that.
Appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that.
All right. Last question is, what is your favorite thing about hoop?
Favorite thing about hoop, I got to give you 2 answers. It's got to be community and just like I'm trying to think of how to word this for simplicity standpoint, just the freedom, yet I would say like the freedom basketball gives you to express yourself, I would say. And the only like it. The beauty and like the expression is like, like you see guys who have the uniform, socks, and that's it. You see guys, who got a headband, high socks, a leg sleeve, an arm sleeve, but not only from an appearance standpoint, but just like you can be yourself in basketball. Like I think a lot of times people get caught up trying to be like LeBron. Everybody can't be LeBron. Everybody can't be KD or Paul George or Michael or Kobe. Certain times you just got to do what you're really good at. And so I think that's what I love about basketball is you can play a part on a team through being yourself.
That's awesome.
To enable the team to be so much better while not also like stepping out of your bounds and having to be a 3-point shooter. If you can stay within yourself, it doesn't even hurt that you're not a 3-point shooter because you're maybe a ball mover when you catch it on the 3-point.
You're playing your role.
Yeah.
Man, I like that. I never thought about that. Like you can even talk about too, like even if you watch an NBA game, there's guys that after they make a shot, they're doing a celebration and, they're, or they're very kind of demonstrative in what they're doing and all that. And then there's other people that are just straight face. Like KD's more straight face. Like he could be going for 50 or he could have 8 and you have there's no difference in how he's playing or how he's all that. He's just being himself and just hooping. So
and that's the coolest thing I think about even when those guys who have straight faces get excited, then you almost feel an excitement in watching them and you feel their expression like, oh, wow, they've got to be really excited to even react, So I think that's another cool piece of it.
Well, good, man. Well, Drick, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for making the time.
Yeah, I appreciate you, bro. And accolades to you too, man. I appreciate you even having me on here and just for continuing to hoop and just continuing to form community around here. That's a beautiful thing. So keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
Pull up with my dogs, we gon' ball like Swish. No, I ball like. No, I ball like.